Right. What is the crack? What's the crack, bud? What's the crack, YouTubers? What's the crack, everyone? Are we all keeping?
Hello.
Hello. Hello. The enthusiasm. Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello, Dr. Nick.
I think
Dread's
I'm a
here.
little
Who's
behind
here?
though on the
Who
video.
have we
I
got
think.
here? We've got Marcus is here. We've got Pale Green Gid is here. We've got Alexander
Yeah,
Warren.
I'm behind.
Got Gilly Guy 52's here. Mork and Gork's here. Dread was here. What is the crack, you gits? What's happening? Just got to do a bit of hobby. What do you plan on doing, Dim?
I am going to paint some Blood Bowl. Well, I say Blood Bowl, they're not proper Blood Bowl models, but I've got some augers. I'll be moving the camera down in a minute just to have a look at.
You and your camera moving shenanigans. Get a second one already, will you? Jesus.
Yes, I will
Jesus.
when I can afford it. Yes.
When we get there, we'll do a Kickstarter for you. Don't worry. We'll do something. You know, you could sell some of them sprues behind you. You know what I mean? You might be able to get a camera. I've been doing that myself lately.
No. Well, actually, no. I'm selling quite a lot, but all that's going towards a 3D print, a screw extra camera.
Oh, 3D. Yeah. Well, in case people have been wondering what I've been up to for the past 11 days, I figured out I've had it 11 days. So the past 11 days, I've been mucking around with a 3D printer. So I've been.
Oh, fucking.
I've been messing around with a 3D printer. So I've been doing test prints. This is the little sort of foil that you get.
I do not believe it.
Don't worry about it. You'll be grand.
No, I've actually broken it.
You've broken it?
I've broken the clip.
How did you break the clip?
I have no idea.
Only you, mate. Only you. Don't worry, we'll 3D print you one once it works. So yeah, like I was saying, I've been messing around with a 3D printer, hence the dogs. I'm here, but won't be here to chat much as I'm sporting the marigolds. Ah, you're doing the Asians. Right. I was like, reference, marigolds. Oh yes, marigolds. Yellow rubber gloves. He hooked you real good, didn't he? He's got me looking into them. Oh, the 3D printers. Oh, well, I'll tell you me story about the 3D printer. So I've managed to get some test prints. You probably can't see this white one, but it's a little dog they give you that's a test print. So I did it in the grey plastic that I have. I bought some grey plastic. It comes with some white PLA. So I tried out. So I got this test print to run, and then I was mucking around with other stuff. You still moving your camera. You're probably making them seasick, motion sickness at this stage. Just mount it somewhere, bud. You'd be grand. You get fail prints every now and then, so I changed it to a glass bed. This didn't stick. This is what a fail print looks like. So basically, with this one, it lifted off the bed, and you end up with a fail print. That's when I was starting this one. So there's a lot of... if you're getting a 3D printer, or you're thinking about getting a 3D printer, there's a lot of experimenting with it. There's a lot of tweaking. There's a lot of adjusting settings. There's a lot of trying to dial things in. You know, there's a lot of variables that need to be taken into account when you're 3D printing. So yeah, so I managed to get, this is the last print I did. I did another test print where Kyle Gearguts gave me a turret to test print to see what it's like. And it kind of, it's not bad. It's you know, as a turret, it's grand. The problem isn't the design, it's just the settings I have on my printer. So you can tell that, you know, some parts of it didn't work out the way I wanted. The top layers weren't fully filled, so there's like a texture on the top. You can sort of see a little bit. And then there's other different parts of it, so I still have to... When you print these guys out, they sit on it prints extra bits out called a raft. That's what this is. If you look at this bit here, you can see that this is where the dog sits on it. And it has a raft for adhesion. So normally what you do is you cut it off. That's why I have all this crap underneath here. I still have to clean all this. So the way I've set it up, it prints it on rafts. So you'll end up with a load of crap that you need to clean underneath. But you can change the settings and all that. But the sad news, Dim. Do you want to know the sad news I've had today? So I have the printer, I think about 11 days. Something like that.
What went wrong?
And the motherboard, I think, has died on it.
Oh God.
It's gone and shit itself. So it's like I'll have to. I was thinking about replacing it, and so I don't know if I should refund it or upgrade it. But yeah, it's gone and shit itself. So I might be sending that printer back. But it's fun. I'm surprised at the quality of the stuff that people can get out of them. Are you still fucking around with that bleeding camera?
I am dreadfully sorry, everyone.
Can you hold it there? That's fine. That's your
Yeah,
desk.
I say no, I'm happy with that. I've had to improvise. This camera is held on the flexi stalk by a hair bubble that I've got spare.
There you go. See?
And
That's perfect.
I snapped this bit off.
How
Woo,
did you?
like proper full snap.
What part is? Give us a look. What bit did you snap off?
It's kind of like the bit that you screw into the actual camera. That like So yeah,
What is it? A C9? Are you using a C920?
Yeah, C920.
Oh,
But
so you got some extra gubbins.
This is a bit from the flexi arm that I bought with it.
Oh, your flexi arm stock.
The flexi arm bit's broke.
Grand.
The camera's fine.
I thought you said you broke the bit of the camera mount. I'm like, how in the hell did he manage that?
Yeah, the mount the camera is on.
All right, so yeah, okay. Bit of super glue, you'd be grand. You'd be grand.
I was going to say, like, a bit of super glue will probably fix that. I'll just have to be very careful. But I don't actually like this flexi arm very much, so I'll have to.
Your image is pretty crisp there, bud. I can see you've been working on your augers. So that's what you're working on. You're working on augers. Marcus has said he's seen this dog before. That's because it's like the bog standard test print that comes on it already, like the file formatted. So yeah, you'll see these dogs everywhere.
Oh God, I forgot to disable autofocus. I'm sorry, everyone.
Oh my God. Further away from the camera. Further, back it up. Yeah, somewhere around there. So you're working on a Blood Bowl team, are you?
Yeah, they're all augers, so...
Oh, you mean individual. Are these the lessons you've learned?
They're not mean in my hands, because I am ace at rolling ones, which means lots and lots of bonehead.
Oh, I suppose. For those of you who don't play Blood Bowl, ogres are really, really vicious. They kill a lot of players, like outright dead. When you're playing Blood Bowl.
No, they freaking don't. The RNG on that stupid computer game is just bullshit.
Oh, we do play it on Steam. That's yeah. It's pretty shocking. Steve-O's here. What's the crack, Steve-O? What's the story, bud? I'm going to be gluing some more grots together. I managed to get a few started.
Experimenting with trying to get like a half decent black skin.
That's not bad, actually. Yeah.
This guy. It's worked out all right. What did I use? I think it was Rhinox.
Rhinox hide
as a base, and then I added in, where is it? There they are. I added in a highlight with Doombull.
Yeah.
And then I did an extra highlight where I chucked in a bit of Tuskor, because it's got like a hint of red in it. And I was seeing like a lot of online tutorial suggestions say that you should add in like a bit of red to a lot of skin tones. So I've been experimenting with that. Looks all right.
Is that for like blood vessels and stuff? Because I know with
I think it's just for the color. I think it's just to add that color in, just to give it some more contrast, as I think Miniac would say.
All right, nice.
But yeah, I've got a lot of this stuff to paint, and I wanted them painted for tomorrow, and it's probably not going to happen.
Well, let's be honest. You've gotten a lot more progress done. Chilling Wargamers is here. What's the crack?
I was hoping to get a little bit more done, but I'm running the league, so I did some optional league rules, because we couldn't just play vanilla Blood Bowl.
You play vanilla Blood? No.
I added in some extra rules, including an alternative inducements mode where you play the game as if all of the players and the coaches are drunk. So you can't use any team rerolls,
right?
Or any skills that give you rerolls. You can't use those rerolls either. You all count as both sides count as having apothecaries, and you count as having full Bloodvisor babes.
Pretty drunk all the time.
Yeah,
Sounds like Larry, and you're playing this down at your local club, are you?
yeah. So it's a league. So it's 2 weeks and then a cup, and then 2 weeks and a cup, and then 2 weeks, and then the last season week where I'll probably throw in some silly shenanigans just for a laugh, and then the Spike Magazine Cup, Spike Magazine Award Cup, and the Blood Bowl Cup.
So what's the difference between all the different cups?
I don't know if they're in the current Blood Bowl. I added them from the old one, but basically, the Chaos Cup, if you win that, gets you D3 mutations, hypnotic gaze, or regeneration skills onto D3 of random players of your team, which can be pretty amazing. They don't count towards experience, but they do count towards obviously team value naturally.
Oh yeah, I would have thought. Yeah.
The Spike magazine is, I can't remember what the effect is, but I think it's like the best scoring player in the season. And then the Blood Bowl one gives you, I think it's an extra 20,000 each game that you have the cup.
Oh,
So
there are like in-game. It's not just that you won the cup, well done. There's a pat on the head. There are actually in-game buffs to it.
Yeah. And there's
sweet.
the Dungeon Bowl one, which is the only one I think I haven't mentioned. That's right. You can buy wizard inducements for 50,000 rather than 150,000.
Ah, right. Chilling war gamers. First time making the show, just back from ChillCon. Oh, nice. Yeah.
That's what's missing.
I saw your live video earlier, guys. I don't know if it's Spud or one of the other gents, but yeah, that looked cool, man. We need to go to ChillCon next year, Dim. It needs to happen.
Yes.
It looks like a good convention. They have like a widespread, quite a lot of folks there. Go visit Spud and the rest of the crew. It has to happen.
Where's it hosted at?
I forget specifically, but it's in Derby somewhere. Go visit Ben from Foxbox. He was in attendance.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. Yeah, it's Spud. It was crazy times. Oh yeah, Spud. It looked at me. It really did. It looked like you were up to your eyeballs. I saw your live video before you just opened the doors. There was a queue. I was like, well impressed. I was like, fair play to. Yeah, it looks cool, Spud. Fair play, man. It looks really good. Looks really good. And it's only £5 in, isn't it? Yeah, I thought that was like super cheap. I was like, what? Mind you, I used to live in London, so I'm used to everything being expensive. You know? Hans Gruber's here. What's the crack, Hans? Catatafish. Oh my god, old school. Google Hangouts. What is the crack, Catatafish? How are you keeping, bud? Hobby-wise, Dim is doing his painting of his Ogre Blood Bowl team, and I am gluing hordes upon bloody hordes of gruts together. Now, I've no idea why I decided to glue all these gruts together, but I don't know. It's just... I started it on the Two Bald Knobs podcast the other day, and I'm still soldiering on. I think I've got about 60 of them made so far. I'm just...
This is partly my fault, is it not?
Yes, these aren't all the gruts that not all of these are the gruts I bought from you.
I'm willing to believe that you, as you know, I know you like to convince everyone on this channel that you're a blood axe, but you're a little bit of a death skull, right?
Oh, a hoarder, bit of a hoarder when it comes to the miniatures. I've a lot of gruts.
No doubt you've acquired gruts from other people and other stuff, but
I've acquired gruts along the way. I've got I even got some of the I've got the red gobbo. I'm thinking of using the red gobbo. I've a head honcho. Yeah, I just need to find his banner pole. So these are from Gorka Morka. So there's a red gobbo, a head honcho, and I have a banner waver. And I was thinking instead of using runt herders, I could put those guys on bigger...
Oh, you managed to get yourself a red gobbo. Cracking. Nice one.
Yeah, I've had them a while. Just haven't painted them up.
Snap. If I can get him on camera.
Oh, you actually bothered to put some paint on your one. Try further away from the camera. A little bit further away. There you
Yeah.
go. It's like, we'll get there in the end, mate.
I'm sorry, everyone. I'm very new to this camera thing.
Ah, you'll be grand. We'll get you there in the end. So that's what I'm up to. Yeah, that's really nice. I like it.
And of course, the correct freaking base. But you know,
Well, the bases were optional. You didn't have to put it on that base, but
yeah,
yeah.
it's magnetized, so you know.
Oh, for convenience. As long as it doesn't magnetize to the truck, I'm all good. There are some people who try to pull cheeky shenanigans like that. It's like, down with that sort of thing.
Remind me at some point we have to talk about Kyle blackmailing me into getting back into writing rules for 40k again.
Oh, I heard about that. Kitana Fish is heading off. Take it easy, Kitana Fish. Hope work goes well for you, man. Feel free to drop in. We do it every 2 weeks, folks. If you're not able to stick around, every second Sunday. And I've managed to stick to it as well. I'm well chuffed. I don't know how many weeks on the trot we're doing it, but it's a bit of crack. We have the Discord work in progress. Is that the right one? There we go. So if you want to show up your work in progress while you're working along with the stream, normally what we do is at the end we'll go through, we'll have a look, see what other people have been up to as well while they've been hanging out on the stream. So like I said, I'm chipping away at these grots. Dame's working on his ogres, getting some paint on them. And we're just going to chat. Rubbish, as always.
Well, we've actually got topics this week. We can, you know.
We do have topics.
You've managed to rein me in, which is probably a very, very good idea, I should say.
Yeah, yes, I have. Well done. I thought ahead. I was like, you know, you assume the unspoken rules, but we won't go into details. It's all right. It's been written out, drafted up. But yeah, so you don't actually have the Gaslands refuel. Is it out to general release? Orc stuff's here as well. What's the crack?
Yeah, the reason I don't have mine is because I ordered it from North Star, who did a deal. I think I mentioned it last time I was on, where you pre-ordered the book from them, and they threw in their Implements of Carnage plastic sprue.
Oh yeah. There was like I remember that sprue you're on about, where there's like bikes and bits and all extra gubbins and whatnot.
Mm.
So there's a delay because you're waiting for the sprues, or
yeah, because you order the sprue, it's a week behind the regular release.
So okay.
I do not have my copy of the book yet.
I get you.
This live stream work in progress, isn't it?
Yeah, that one's the work in progress. That link that I've put into the chat there. I managed to get my hand on the book
the other day, and I'm just going to chuck those in.
Well, I have the Gaslands rulebook because I pre-ordered on Amazon. So I got I think I got like 15 quid, or I don't know. I got some money off because I pre-ordered it. I just haven't sat down and gone through the rules. I've just been busy with playing Battletech, and past few days I've been busy messing around with a 3D printer that's gone and died on me. But you know what I mean?
I've read a summary of some of the things that's in.
Yeah.
Some of the things deeply intriguing me, but I haven't had a chance to read the actual proper rules yet.
But it seems there's been a few changes and rules balances. I looked. Now I didn't have the old rulebook because I heard that there was a new one coming, so I just pretty much held off. And from what I hear, there seems to be a lot more. There doesn't seem to be as many munchie builds where people were sort of exploiting the rules.
Yeah, like the main thing they did was remove the APC, which I knew about quite a while ago because it had been talked about on groups, and Mike Hutchinson, the author, had made it particularly clear that he was taking it out. So I wasn't surprised when the summary said it had been removed.
So what was the problem with it? Like, was it just a bit too over?
Like I think one of the principal problems with how the game currently works, and I actually think there might need to be a new edition to address this, but he has done some changes to them, so it might be fixed. But from my experience, it seems like crew guns are a little too good, and the APC just gave you 8 crew.
Oh, so it's like a lot of free guns then.
On crew weapons and just kill people. It might have even been 10, but you couldn't take the big cannon. But it seems to me like crew guns are basically more or less as good as everything else, and you can take plenty of like small arms that give you plenty of dice to chuck, and you know,
So just
it's
weight of numbers sort of games mechanics, was it?
yeah.
All right.
I
Yeah.
don't think it was. I don't think it was. I don't think it was particularly balanced before. There are some changes to how crew works. Crew fighters changed, but the summary doesn't seem to explain it very well. So I'm not entirely sure how that's working yet.
So
But
we'll
it looks
have.
promising. There's like, you know, saying, "Oh, I've brought out a hardback and I've added more stuff" is kind of enough for me at the moment. Because more sponsors and more stuff is pretty cool to me. They've done a lot of changes to Slime, apparently, which is the faction I tend to play.
Yeah,
So
I've
see
heard that
what
as well.
happens.
So they've changed some of the faction stuff around.
Yeah, they've
They've
got rid
added
of
in a fair few bits.
Miyazaki's evasive maneuvers by the looks of it, and they've made showing off incredibly difficult to pull off. I don't know what I think about it, because showing off is their way of getting audience votes.
You can use audience votes to
They-
respawn and stuff, can't you?
Yeah. And the way that they've got to do it is that all vehicles have got to do at least one spin, slide, and shift up in a single turn. I mean, it's totally doable. Like it's quite relatively easy to get spin, slide, and shift up. But considering you can't really choose the results on the dice, if you've got like 3 Miyazaki cars, it's not great. But if you've got one, it's super easy. So I don't know. I don't know with that. It'll be interesting.
We'll just have to wait for until you have a book in your hands for your verdict, then, yeah.
Yeah, but they've added in some new sponsors. There's like 5 of them that are new to me, at least. I think a couple of them. I think a couple of them might be.
From expansions or stuff.
Yeah, possibly.
I heard that. Yeah, I heard a lot of the peripheral stuff was added in.
But there's one called the Order of the Inferno, which intrigues me very much. I've been playing around with a lot of fire-themed stuff, hoping there would be one to do with fire. So, looks like I'm getting my wish in one way or another. I still would quite like a team that gets audience votes for being set on fire, so I could run that. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm going to do with my fairy cars. If I don't get my wish in the rulebook, I'm probably going to come up with my own custom sponsor.
Where do you get points for being set on fire? I suppose, yeah, if you're being inspired by that Robot Wars Diatora, the old 4E Robot Wars robot, where it pretty much was, when's it getting set on fire? Yeah. Are you going to paint up your 4-clad van?
There's some paint on them. There is some paint on them.
Have you painted them red with black spots?
The monster truck's getting painted red with black spots.
Nice.
Definitely.
I like it.
And I've basically managed to wrangle it so it's sort of got googly eyes as well, and a grinning mouth.
I love it.
Little bit of quick brain stuff works wonders.
So for those of you who don't get the reference, there was a TV show called Robot Wars where people would make remote control robots and just fight against each other. And there was one specific one called Diatora, which was by an Irish team. So this was based in the UK. So an Irish team went over and they used to clad their robot in this god awful red with black polka dots. Or it was just like cheap ass fur. And they used to wear waistcoats of the same material. And it was a case of when did this thing get set on fire? Because there was little flamethrowers and burners and all this type of stuff. It was just, it was entertainment. So I can understand making a custom sponsor for being set on fire. I'd look forward to that. That would be cool in the campaign. Sean Hope's here. Just finished 2 bald knobs and watched you deflash and base a bunch of grots, and here you are still grotting away. Sean, I think you underestimate just how many grots there are. There's lots. There's quite a few.
Oh no, not again.
Oh no! Tell you, I can't be bringing them onto the show anymore. Shaking cameras, phone calls. Standards are slipping these days, folks. Standards are slipping. Squigwass is here.
That's my alarm, and it went off last time as well. Skills.
Well, at least you know your alarm works. Do you ever get those mornings where it's like you wake up late and you don't know whether your alarm has worked or not? You're like, oh no, what's going on? And then later on, because I live in a household with other people, they're like, oh yeah, your alarm went off 3 times. I was like, oh, I didn't hear a thing. I was dead to the world. It's like, Jesus, I must have been proper tired. I'm a bit worried about these gruts in that a lot of them are the same pose again and again and again, but when you're making 3 mobs of 30, it's like, I'm not sitting here on green stuff and 90 grots. It's like, get out of it.
New GW, that's how it is now.
Well, a lot of the same sort of miniatures.
At least you can look at the grots and smile and remember a time when, not all the kits were like that.
Yeah, well, I have grots from different eras, so I can mix and match stuff. Like, I have the snots, the youth grots from Gorka Morka, so I have loads of little metal ones that have character as well. So I can mix stuff up from different eras.
Oh yeah.
And I think I've a plastic baggie, a sandwich bag full of those 2nd edition grots.
Oh, Gorka Morka Snotling, nice.
Yeah. I have a few of them. Yeah. There's a few of the Gorka Morkas. I think I have nearly most of them. I think I have most of them. The Gorka Morka Gretchen. They're a lot more characterful, I find. But yeah, I've probably got about 20 or 30 of those guys.
I was going to say the little ones are the Snotlings, but yeah.
Yeah, like with the slingshots and stuff, wasn't it? Yeah, because
they've got slings and bows.
This one has
a couple of them might have sticks.
Bow, and I think is this a different one with a bow? Yeah, this is another. Obviously, it's the same sculpt that they just resculpted a bit on.
They did a lot. They did that a lot back in the day.
Yeah,
like loads of the Necromunda and Gorka Morka stuff. If you look really closely,
it's the base sculpt, and they've redetailed it. Yeah.
Base sculpt, and then they've changed the equipment and little features here and there subtly to try and make them look different.
And I've a few of these as well. I've 1 or 2 of these guys. There was a set a while ago where it was like an orc on the ground injured, and then you had a load of little grots, either stealing stuff, or these guys are strangling each other because they're fighting over.
The Thief and Grot set, yeah.
Yeah, the Thief and Grot set. So this one, do you know what I mean? So I've a few of these as well. I've loads of little bits I can scatter in amongst the units. This one is taking a dump in an orc's helmet on these little grots. Various ones. There's loads of them.
You wouldn't steal a truck.
There's
Sorry.
There's this one walking around with a helmet full of teeth. I think it's teeth. Or I don't know. It's a helmet full of something.
it'll be teeth. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's loads of
them. I'm pretty sure there's like, isn't from that same set? I'm pretty sure there's like a grot with a set of pliers.
Yeah. There's like the injured orc on the ground, and there's 2 heads you can put in him. And one of the heads he's just gummy. He's had all of his teeth ripped out. He's a knob that's injured. And it just shows you like the grots just stealing all of his teeth. It's pretty funny. It's pretty hilarious. And then this one's going around with a sack full of teeth as well. Teeth. It's little characterful bits. So I've loads of little bits and pieces to add some character into the grot units. I'm just I'm deciding on my build project for the competition. Have you started your one? Mork and Gork is heading off. Got to go. I'll be back on Discord in around 2 hours. Take it easy, Mork and Gork. Chat to you later. Poke Cactus talked about Robot Wars. It's very orky, to be honest. It was awesome. Marcos, I haven't watched Two Bob Knobs yet. Right after this hangout, I plan to do it further away. Me and Steve-O talk about a few things. We talk about 3D printing. We talk about Legends. Wait, we can talk about Legends here, DM, but I'm pretty sure you're of the same opinion as me. But Steve-O Me and Steve had different opinions, so it was a pretty interesting
Probably
discussion.
positive, if I remember correctly. You were telling me.
Yes and no. You know, he sees that as more of a good thing. I'll tell you what, the best way to find out would be for people to watch the Two Bald Knobs episode.
Yeah, nice plug there. Excellent.
There you go. See, good plug. I should, you know, if I was really good, I'd be multitasking and putting a link in the description.
Mm-hmm.
Pimp My Toy is here. What's the crack, Pimp My Toy? Welcome to the Hangout. So yeah, what's everybody else working on the Hangout? Are you guys painting? Are you guys building? Are you doing something else? Like, I don't know, walking the dog or something? And watching the Hangout? We're working away on a horde of grots and a ogre Blood Bowl team.
Well, actually, if you look down here.
Oh, grots. Oh, nobblers. Are they the nobblers from the...
Nobblers that are now called grots in Age of Sigmar. So technically, I have a horde of grots as well.
That's weird, man. So they used to be called nobblers.
It's maximum GW copyright TM. Yeah.
All right.
Even though I'm sure, I'm kind of surprised that they didn't invent nobblers, because I can't imagine anyone else coming up with a name like that.
I thought they looked very distinctive. You know, they looked different.
Written down on a piece of paper by Rick Priestley, and then he just have a demented grin on his face. It just seemed like that to me.
Yeah, I can get that. I can get that green stuff. The green one's here. He's building a Jeep buggy. What's the crack? The green one. Gilly guy. He's going on a wah. He's moving. Oh, you're moving your stuff, are you? Oh man, I hate moving house. Oh, I hate it with a passion, because it's like, oh, I didn't realize. You start going through, like, especially with your hobby stuff, if you move it, like even just moving it around, like storing it from one room to another or digging through stuff, it's like, oh, I don't have 2 spare battle wagons, I have 3, or where did this unit come from? I don't remember buying this. You know what I mean? You end up finding a lot of stuff. But I also find moving home is good for the soul as well, because I think it becomes push or shove with a lot of stuff. It's like, am I arsed moving this thing? Do I really need it? No. Then give it away or chuck it out. So you cleanse yourself of a lot of bits and pieces as well when you move. At least that's what I find. What about yourself, Dim?
Yeah, moving house was quite interesting. Yeah. Although now I would, if I had to move now, it would be horrendous. Every room's filled with crap, like that's hobby related of some description.
Probably fill a transit van full of hobby stuff.
Really trying to crack down on the amount of GW stuff I've got, just because I'm sort of moving in other directions now. But
so you're doing what I'm doing then. I'm sort of investing into other games. I'm trying. Yeah, I'm just not putting all my eggs in one basket. It's not that I'm quitting GW. It's just like the games I've been playing lately. I've been playing an awful lot of Battletech. Like I think I've played more Battletech in the last 2 months than I have 40k since 8th edition came out.
The recent Kickstarter is the first time in a long time I've been really enthusiastic about Battletech.
It seems,
I love the idea of it. I love what little of the lore that I know, which is basically nothing. But I always really, really hoped they'd get around to redoing those mechs. Yeah. And if they did, I would jump on it. And the second I found out, I was like, well, I'm back in that Kickstarter.
It's like, whoops, where did that 300 quid go?
Oh, nice one, Hans.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hans managed to get it.
Dare we ask Hans how much you paid?
Oh, Jesus. You don't ask that sort of question. When someone tells you they managed to get the red gobbo, you don't ask how much. You just go, fair play, mate. It can go for stupid money. But yeah, it is a nice piece to have for your army, the red gobbo. But yeah, the Battletech Kickstarter, yeah, I'm finding it's kind of interesting when it comes to Battletech. I think there seems to be like a reinvigoration into it. Because I was interested in getting into Battletech about 10 years ago, I think.
And
I wasn't happy with the quality of the miniatures at the time, because they sell metal miniatures, but they're like 10 quid a pop. I think I've talked about this before on Hangouts and stuff. Like, my friend gave me a lend of the anniversary box set from 10 years ago, which would have been the last anniversary box set they did, the 25 years anniversary box set. And these guys are some of the miniatures from that box set. Now, I don't have the newer one handy. I could go over there and pick it up.
I had one of those sets.
Yeah, and these are absolutely horrendous, mate. These
I hated the sculpts. I loved the value for money. I loved how many you got, but like
you got a lot of them, but it really was a case of quantity over quality, because these guys are Jesus. If you compare these guys to the newer sculpts, do you know what? Hold on, give me a second. I'll grab them. I'll leave you to entertain them for a moment. Hold on. Just to show you the comparison, like it's like night and day with these sculpts. It really is.
Yeah, they're. I had that set at one point, and I think I left it somewhere. But you get a load of them, but the sculpts are not great. I like that, Hans. Slightly more than the original £3. Yes, I have no doubt.
For the red gobbo, yeah, I'd say so.
Slightly more.
Slightly more.
That is a brilliant answer, and I will not pry further.
So yeah, the comparison. I think this is why you're going to start seeing a lot of people get into Battletech now, because the sculpts are plastic and they're decent. So this one over here, this is the 25th anniversary edition sculpt. This is what they were pumping out. And then this guy here is from the new Game of Armored Combat box set. And all of the resculpts are going to be like this dude here. Now, when you buy them, they are put together already. They're not single part miniatures. They are glued together and put together already. But look at the difference in these guys. Like, it's just crazy. It really is. It's like pre-Super Soldier Serum, post-Super Soldier Serum. You know what I mean? It really is. The quality is totally different. And I think the value for them is looking pretty good as well. I think they're going to be selling some of the Lance packs. You'll get like 4 mechs in a Lance if it's the Inner Spheres faction. I think it's going to be $20 for 4 of them, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
And then I think the Clanners, it's like $25 for because they come in 5 packs. And then here is the Catapult. So the difference between these two is these are supposed to be the same miniature. Like, this will tell you the difference in the quality. These two dudes are the same miniature in game, and it's just absolute madness. You would literally think it was a totally different
night and day.
It really is, like. So I think this is a large part of why we are starting to see a lot of folk get into Battletech. Because like I said, I tried to get into it about 10 years ago, 11 years ago, something like that, and I looked at the miniatures that came in the core box set, and I went, these are terrible. And it was between them and the options that were in metal, and I didn't really want to be buying mechs. Now, if I'm being honest, you don't really need that many mechs. If you had 4 mechs, that's a good solid 4 or 5 hour game if you wanted to. And I think that's the beauty of Battletech as well. There's two ways to play the game. There's the classic Battletech, which uses sheets, and there's a lot of minutiae to it. You're tracking ammo use, you're tracking armor and critical hits and all. But I love that stuff. I think that's part of the reason why I liked Battlefleet Gothic so much, because you tracked critical hits. I don't know, I really like games where you take damage but your vehicle still functions. It's just somewhat inhibited. You know what I mean? I really like games like that for some reason. Big, massive sort of either ships or vehicles or vessels or something. I like when things can absorb a bit of damage, and you sort of whittle them down over time. I have no idea why. That just sort of appeals to me. But then there's also another rule set for Battletech called Alpha Strike, which is a lot more streamlined, and you can play with more miniatures. And I think people who are going from 40k and trying something new probably would be better off trying Alpha Strike, I think. They may find classic Battletech that there's maybe too much bookkeeping for them, but it's all on the page. But whatever, it's all in front of you. It's interesting. Squig Boss is building 20 Age of Sigmar orcs. Nice. Dreadwaz, I got one, but I cut his arm off to give him a mini power claw. To the Red Gobbo. I enjoy and also cringe when I see Red Gobbo conversions.
Kind of like sticking a McDonald's on the Taj Mahal, isn't it?
Kind of like sticking a McDonald's on the Taj Mahal. I'm like, somebody will get around to it. Gilly Guy, use versus the model she tells you not to worry about. Yeah, when it comes to Battletech, totally. That should be a meme right there. That really should. I love it. Dreadbot is saying, why not? There's always room for improvement. I'm not special about having them as collector's things. They're just all lovely gubbins till they're painted and finished. I can understand that. It depends on each individual's mentality, I suppose. Some people like to have their own unique stamp on things. They don't really like having their miniatures be carbon copies of everyone else's miniatures. I think Dreadwaz has said that before. He likes putting his own sort of twist on miniatures, so I can understand that. But there's also the other aspect where some people want to have, especially for me, I like to have at least one miniature that's original, just so I can, like, if I get a second copy of something, I'd be inclined to convert it and chop it up. I like having at least one of the original model, just for collecting it, I suppose. That aspect of, oh, this is the Red Gobbo, the way he is. But you know, if I had a second one, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll stick a power claw on him and we'll give him a little mini metal gob or something like that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, maybe it's part of, I'm not afraid to mess the miniature up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to muck it up if I have a spare one, but if I only have one of it, I tend to try and keep it original, which not everyone's into. But that's the beauty of collecting orcs. Different people have different takes on it. And no two armies will look the same.
I mean, for my part, like I have absolutely no problem with people taking a model that they own and converting it as they please, whether it's out of print or not. The only thing I've got with the Rebel Grot thing, with the Red Gobbo or anything Rebel Grot, is just it's my favorite thing, and I think I would probably rate the Red Gobbo as probably one of my favorite all-time GW models. I'm not going to say my favorite all-time models because GW doesn't tend to rank high on my favorite all-time models. Just because, well,
yeah,
no,
it's a good miniature.
There's so much good shit out there that like.
Oh, there really is. Some scopes out there are just crazy.
I mean, I used to collect a lot of Rackham stuff, like French company. Their metals were horrendous. Like just the level of quality and detail on them. The Rackham metals that I still own are a big part of the reason that when people were saying, "Oh well, Finecast gives you crisper detail," I was just laughing into my Rackham knees. I was just
Tailcast.
Like, if you work hard enough, you can get good quality.
You can get metals good quality. Yeah, I agree with you there. Yeah, I wasn't happy when Failcast came out at all. It was a cheaper product, but it was more expensive when they re-released it in Failcast. So I just saw it as a money grab, to be honest with you.
Well, I use this catchphrase quite a lot, but I'm going to say it again. Games Workshop has a certain boutique fancifulness of it about itself. Like it seems to think that whenever it does anything it does is special, and therefore they should, charge the most amount of money that anybody could conceivably charge for something that you probably, if you shopped around, could find infinitely better elsewhere.
Infinitely cheaper and better, probably. Yeah, but I think it's like they are the Apple of wargaming. You know what I mean? It's once they have you bought into their product and market line, they'll act like they invented something, because the only exposure you're going to have to that item most likely is going to be directly from them, if you get me.
Yeah.
So they can act like that to a certain degree.
Well, yeah, they're trying to completely dominate the market and create their own space. And at the moment, they seem to be doing the same. They seem to be erring in the same sort of strategy that corporate computer game companies have of this war on ownership.
Oh, right.
I mean, maybe I'm wearing too much of a tinfoil hat, but it seems to me like they're particularly sort of maneuvering themselves to this live service kind of model that they've currently got. And the thing about a service is that, like, normally when you buy something from a company, it's a good, and when you bought it, it's yours, and you can do with it what you want with it. You can resell it. You can do what you like. You can convert it. You can screw around with it. You can take a dump on it if you want. It's yours, right? Whereas, if GW alters their strategy a little bit, they might be able to say, actually, what we're selling you isn't so much a good as kind of a service. And maybe they can't get to the point where they can do that with their miniature line, but they might be trying that. But they're certainly doing that already with the rules, where you've got this. You don't actually have a complete rule set. You've got a moving live service rule set that is perpetually making itself out of date.
Oh, yeah, you constantly have to buy into it. Yeah, definitely.
Sell you the solution to problems they themselves have caused.
Yeah, that's a very sort of corporate thing, this whole you don't own it sort of thing, because if I remember correctly, in the United States there was this whole right to repair thing where farmers were trying to fix stuff when it came to John Deere, but they couldn't like get the parts, or John Deere wouldn't give them access to software. Do you know what I mean? Like, things would be outdated by the software not working. It wouldn't be a case of the hardware doesn't work anymore. It'll be a case of that company would no longer support the software, so they'd want you to then buy. Do you know what I mean? It's the same sort of type of mentality where they'd want you to buy new product off them as a means of sales stimulus, as opposed to actually putting out a product. Which is kind of interesting, because since I've gotten into 3D printing, I've actually seen some guys 3D printing, throwing posts up where it's like, hey, I'm a farmer. These plastic parts on my seed planter or whatever it is wear out. And what happens is we normally go to the dealership and we have to pay 45, 50, 60 bucks, because, that's how companies will make their money off of you, the corporations. And the guy's turning around, he's like, here, I've 3D printed this part myself, and it's cost me less than $2. Like, it's just crazy. Like, it really is.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to combat. They're trying to preempt the 3D printed market. But I think I'm slightly worried for Games Workshop that their quite dogmatic behaviors that they're doing right now is either going to mean that in the next 5 years, people are going to want to move on to other companies that don't have the same attitude, or the kind of attitude they're adopting now is going to make more people want to get in on the 3D printing craze than possibly would.
I don't know. It depends. It depends what way it goes, really.
I mean, they've certainly solidified my desire to have a 3D printer. Obviously, I can't speak for everyone else, but like, I definitely want it more. Having,
Let's see what people are saying in the comments section. Let's have a look. Clarkson's here. What's the crack, Clarkson? Hans Gribber's like, if I had a second one, I'd sell it. He's talking about the gobbo. Steve-O was saying nobody was happy with Failcast. I think you're right on that one, Steve-O. Orc Stuff is saying GW used to do good quality metal. That's true, man. Like look at the metal miniatures. Like, they used to do good quality metal. There was no need for them to move away from it, other than to try and shaft people for more money.
And the other thing with the metal was, is because it was metal, you could buy all the miniatures separately, all the pieces separately.
That's true. Yeah, you could.
They did waste an awful lot of metal. I'm not sure whether or not they could melt it down and recast it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, they could. I had friends who used to work in Games Workshop HQ, and they were telling me that when Failcast came in, it was a case of, with the metal miniatures, if you had a miscast, you could just throw the metal in and recast it. Whereas with Failcast, because it's resin, that resin's wasted. I think he was telling me eventually they found uses for the failcast miniatures that got chipped up. What they used to do was they'd backfill some resin molds. So like the tiles for what was it called? Sector Mortalis or something like that. The Forge World tiles.
Stupid things, yeah.
Yeah, those stupid things. So he was saying that they'd save on some of the molds by backfilling them with these this chopped up failcast. And the quality control initially was shocking, but staff apparently had said that to them that it wasn't ready, but the corporation pushed for it. That's what I was told. So Dave is saying a purifists are coming to a tabletop near you soon. You're gonna table you and turn two hiding behind walls. Probably, mate. That's 40k these days. Steve-O was saying he's really impressed with the detail and quality of Puppets War miniatures. That's because Steve-O's using Puppets War miniature turrets in his build, I think. I'm a bit behind in the comments.
I've had a couple of bits from Puppets War. I was pretty happy with them. And they've got a very nice selection of cool bits.
Yeah, they have... Dave was asking, are our commandos failcast? Yes, Dave. Or commandos are failcast. It's like, don't remind us. No, Green Tide, they're not metal, sadly. The green one is saying mostly I find 3D crap. It just depends what it is, mate. You know what I mean? Like I said, this is a test print, and I was shocked at, like, this is a failure, and this isn't bad. Like, this isn't bad at all. Like, I was rather surprised. Like, really, holy smokes. Ideally, I think at this point in time with the 3D printing, what I'd do is I'd probably make the base of a vehicle, and I'd add in the detail later. So this printed off rivets and everything. Like, you can get 3D printers to print off rivets, but I know, yeah, it's mad. I could not believe this when Kyle was showing this to me. He's like, oh yeah, it can print off rivets. Now, like I said, this print's a failure. It's an absolute epic fail, but once you dial it in and get your settings up and running, you'll be laughing. And like, if this is a failure, this isn't too bad. And the great thing about it is, even if the print fails like this, it's like, oh look, I have a turret now that I can just throw into a scrap heap for scenery, and it'll look cool. And it costs me less than 50 pence. Like,
yeah. I mean, I want to do a lot of dungeoneering, like.
Oh yeah, definitely dungeon tiles. It's like, holy shit, man! The amount of dungeon tiles out there to be 3D
so many
printed.
companies that sell like the files for dungeon tiles, and I think
some people sell stuff and
dungeons for next to nothing.
Free. Yeah, you really can.
At the size I want them to be.
Yeah, scaled up as well. I was thinking of printing some bits for a Hero Quest because, like I said previously, I was teaching my nephew who's 5 and my brother how to play, and they were loving it. And I mean, when I say, like, I'm teaching my nephew who's 5 how to play Hero Quest, he's playing it properly. You know what I mean? We're not footy-doodying it for him. He picked a dwarf. He named the dwarf Adam. It's like, okay. He's called Adam then. And he's just been... I think he bought the... He's just been looting the place for gold. So I think he bought the Battletech. So he rolls like 4 dice on attack, and he's just been loving it, man.
Oh, child luck, presumably. Skull, like all the time.
Yeah, quite a bit. He has good luck. He does have really good luck. He tends to just chop anything in two that comes near him. It's pretty funny.
This is how Nuffle suffers, this is how the great god of chance, Nuffle, suckers you into this this hobby by your first sort of youthful years, or even less than youthful years. So your first years in the hobby, you roll amazing and you think it's always going to be like that, and then you're like, right, finally, I'm going to play this permanently, and then from that point onwards, it's a downward spiral.
Ah, yeah, of course. It's like
well, yes, the best thing about Hero Quest, Evo, is indeed the dwarf.
True. Great video. Absolutely
now
great video.
Peasantry's gone.
Yeah.
Bardic Productions. If you haven't seen the Bardic Productions
video, his review, it is brilliant. Throw a link in the end of the video for it.
Yeah, it's a cracking video. Another cracking unboxing.
Exactly. But yeah, you've been working on HeroQuest as well. But that's what I was thinking. That was the first thing I was thinking of when I got the 3D printer. I wanted it for Battletech terrain, making terrain for Battletech. I wanted it for HeroQuest. Some of the furniture, because I bought the set secondhand, some of the furniture has seen better days. So I was like, oh, I could 3D print some furniture and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you don't want to 3D print stuff, or you're not going to get a 3D printer, random people of the internet who are watching this video, and you like Dungeoneering stuff, Mantic does a nice range called Terrain Crate, and they've got a load of quite cool plastic, not resin, plastic terrain bits, and it's in typical cheap Mantic plastic, but like you can get quite a lot for your money, and they've got like a variety of sets. So it's pretty good if you like the Dungeoneering thing, but you're not going to get a 3D printer.
There seems to be a pretty big scene for the whole Dungeoneering
it's massive
aspect of like D&D. Like it is like holy smokes. I was like, yeah, what? But I like that about our hobby. I like how our hobby touches onto other parts of the gaming hobby and out further again. Do you know what I mean? So it's like if you're into creating terrain, it's like, oh well, the D&D players are also into creating terrain. And it's like if you're really into doing weathering effects and stuff like that, oh, the scale modelers are really into doing weathering effects and getting it realistic. There's so like the cross-pollination in the various hobbies, like they're not too far apart from each other in what they are, but even still I find there's a lot of value in looking in other hobbies where you wouldn't think you'd get useful information, because that's how I got a lot of I was watching a lot of tutorial videos from guys who would 3D print D&D miniatures, and I was like, fair play to you, to be printing beholders and stuff like that, and I was like, oh, fair, you know, they actually look good. You know what I mean? Surprisingly, I was like, holy smokes. But I suppose that's what...
Keeping an eye on that video, are you?
Which one?
Never mind.
Oh, the beholder. Yeah, you and your jokes.
Yeah.
You and your puns. I'll let them slide. I'll let them keep an eye on that one. Do you remember the Dungeons and Dragons film? My God.
Oh,
the horror.
It's a fantastic train wreck of a film. I love it. I also love the fact that there's like a sort of like killy, deathy, nasty maze where they've got to get a MacGuffin from, and the thief master who sort of runs that maze is played by Richard O'Brien.
Yeah, that was a nice touch. Crystal Maze, yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice touch. But yeah, it's one of those films like where there's one member of the cast who's like, you know, they get the Thesp to play the villain, and the villain goes, "This film's absolutely ridiculous and stupid. I'm just going to have fun and chew the scenery." And then they won't think about it. Like there's so many films that were like that in the 90s and the 80s and stuff. I mean, you've got the Dungeons Dragon films, you've got Street Fighter, of course.
Oh my God, yeah, I love Street Fighter. I really do. Because it is terrible, but it's brilliant. So that is one of the only times when I would admit to liking a terrible film.
I would say that is not a terrible film. I would say that's a really good film.
It's so cheesy though, man. It's so cheesy.
But it commits fully to its plot, and its plot is that like the premise of the film, and the premise of the film is very simple. Bunch of characters from a computer game series go through plot in order to end up in their costume, the film.
Oh God!
It's just I love it, and it definitely has the best line in cinematic history in it.
In your opinion?
Well, obviously yes, but yeah, that line about for you the day that M. Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life, and for me it was Tuesday. That is the best line in certain amount of history.
I don't know. Gandalf with "Fly, you fools." You know what I mean? It's probably one of the most misquoted lines ever, but it's a good one. You know what I mean?
There's loads of those though. I mean, like Play It Again, Sam, for Casablanca, not in the film. Beam Me Up, Scott. He's never once said in Star Trek. Sherlock
No?
Holmes doesn't say "Elementary, my dear Watson" apart from like every film. He never says it in the books.
Oh, all right. It just sort of becomes a thing over time.
Yeah.
I suppose it's like the pronunciation of words over time. If enough people mispronounce something, that becomes how it's pronounced.
Well,
Not how it works.
Yeah, but it's like urban myths. But you get like there was a common myth that was going around that everybody just wanted to believe about Captain Pugwash. This is not going to be shared by a lot of people in the chat, and other than the Brits will know where I'm going with this. But like the Captain Pugwash kids cartoon,
I
and like
remember it, yeah.
they had very very sort of like innuendo type names of the names of the crew. So Roger the Cabin Boy and Seaman Staines. But that was never the case. Somebody made that up, and everybody was just like, "Oh yeah, that was true."
It sounds too good not to be true type of thing, is it?
There is a pilot episode of Rainbow though that is full of innuendo, but it was never syndicated on TV.
Oh, was that they're twanging on their
the twanger, the twanging on the I can't remember what the thing was, but yeah,
it was a musical instrument they made from elastic bands, and they were just going on about twinging their twangers or something like that. I thought, yeah, I've seen that. That is hilarious.
Sean Hawk, Krull is a freaking classic. Yeah, if you like Krull, check out Hawk the Slayer. Dave Dogs just said Hawk the Slayer as well. That was nicely timed. Yeah. Hawk the Slayer. Like, also, if you like that kind of like really bad, earnest but crazy and weird fantasy films, there's a one called Sword and the Sorcerer. I think it's called Sword and the Sorcerer. It's an 80s film, and that is just several levels of weird. It's so strange.
What type of strange though? Because there are different types of strange.
Well, like there's a bit where you think, oh right, so the lead gets captured, right, and they go in to rescue him, and you get like all the sort of heroes are together, and you think, oh right, so they talk about embarking a rescue, and then you think, oh right, so they're gonna rescue this guy, and that's what we're gonna see next. No, you see them all in a prison. And then two of the characters, the last two that were talking, get, including one of them who's a girl, get sort of chucked into the prison later on in the scene, and they've had their tongues cut out.
What?
Yeah, it's a really weird film. It goes really badly for everyone except the hero. It's really, really, really strange.
Bit of a strange one, already.
It's kind of got some like cool things, but it's got that thing of, I've got this weapon that will use cheap 70s/80s special effects.
Oh, all right.
Although his sword shoots blades.
Sounds like a Bollywood film.
But it's like a really trick sword. But like the villain also has like a magic sword. In some ways, it's actually better. But it's a weird film. It's a really weird film. It's very 80s.
Son of like Conan the Barbarian era. I love Conan the Barbarian. The original one was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. What other films? See, I'm not as eclectic when it comes to the movies that I've watched probably as you have.
I watch far too much rubbish films.
Yeah, you watch way too much. More the stuff I've watched is probably more mainstream. Like I do like me some like old school cheesy films like fucking Flash Gordon. I'm like, that's a brilliant film, man.
Oh,
Flash. Oh, brilliant and great soundtrack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The old Highlander film. Conan was good. Conan the Destroyer. You know what I mean? But now we're just in the era
There was
of like,
genuinely a bit of the filming of Flash Gordon where they had Brian Blessed, and he did his Volton bit, and then said, "Thanks for that, Brian, but we do the sound effects." And apparently, one of the I can't remember which one it was, but one of the Star Wars people from the prequels like couldn't resist doing his lightsaber noises.
Oh, it was the guy who
think it was
played
Ewan
Anakin
McGregor, wasn't it?
Skywalker. Yeah. I forget that dude's name, but yeah, I remember in an interview he was like, you know, we'd be there and we'd be doing our battles and he'd be going, and they were like, we add in the sound afterwards. Oh, Dave, yeah, exactly. Another classic. Red Sonja with that little spoiled brat giving shite to everyone. Red Sonja was another good film, man. I love that one.
That's a good film.
Proper cheesy 80s films. Great films. Absolutely great. It's like, I'll let you pass if you beat me in combat. It's like, so she skewers your man and his minions are like, nah. Like, you've just watched her beat the crap out of your boss. It's like, yeah. Good choice there, lads. What's their skew with them? What else? I'm trying to think of like cheesy. A lot of them seem to be fantasy. There's like Red Sonja and Conan. All those type of Highlander. Willow was another good one.
Oh, Willow's a classic.
Willow is a classic. I think one of the scenes that specifically sticks in my mind as a kid was where they're using the wand to like change them.
Is this where he ends up in the tree?
I don't know specifically now. But they end up in a castle at some stage and they're fighting a monster.
Oh, yeah. So like it's sort of a Hydra, but it's only got two heads.
Yeah. This sort of swamp Hydra monster thing. And then if I remember correctly, somebody gets changed into a ball of writhing goop with tentacles and stuff. Dave's the Battle Beyond the Stars. I think I remember that one. What was the one where...
That's a good one.
Maybe Rainbows. George was the seed of the millennial woe.
Oh, Hans. Yeah. Why didn't anyone? Yeah. Why?
Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. Yeah. Oh, have you actually watched on Netflix the?
Oh no, I haven't got around to it yet. The Dark Crystal series.
Yeah,
I actually knew it was coming because like I mean, I was still married at the time actually, but like they were advertising like 10 or so years ago for writers for it. Like they ran a writing competition, and I was tempted to enter. I never got around to it, so I could have maybe wrote that series, but most likely not.
It's like I could have, but let's be honest. But yeah, it's interesting. They flesh it out an awful lot. It's like it's a prequel. They flesh out the thing an awful lot, but it's yeah, I'd say watch it. I liked it. I liked the effects in it, as it's more practical effects. Definitely.
Yeah.
I didn't like the whole direction that they depended too heavily on CGI stuff. I think I was only saying this to Steve-O there the other day on the Two Bald Knobs podcast. Whereas, like, if you look at the Lord of the Rings, and you look at, like, there are worse films, but if you look at the trolls, like when they're fighting the troll in the Mines of Moria and the Lord of the Rings, and you look at the CGI for it, you're like, that hasn't aged greatly. But then if you go back to the likes of Jurassic Park, it's like, yeah, some of the CGI isn't great, but then for the like really close-up stuff, they used animatronics and puppets and stuff, and that stuff to this day still looks awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it looks absolutely cracking. Steve was saying the Dark Crystal series is incredible. He's been blown away by it. Dreadwell was talking about Samuel and the Princess Bride. Yeah, the Princess Bride, another absolute belter of.
As you wish.
I don't know the quote, but it was.
Have you ever played the? Have you ever played the drinking game?
Oh, where? Is this where you watch a film and anytime someone says a specific thing, you have to take a drink?
Yeah. So here's the criteria, right? You have to take a drink whenever any character says inconceivable, whenever any character says as you wish, whenever any character says true love, or whenever any character says hello. My
Is
name
this
is
in The
Inigo
Princess
Montoya.
Bride?
You kill my father, prepare to die. Yeah.
Oh, you'll be buckled.
You'll be dead. Live with failure.
Oh God.
I've said that word a few times. I don't think it means what you think it means. Apparently there was just a little anecdote, but apparently like when they were filming Princess Bride, Andre the Giant let out this tremendously massive fart during one filming. Like an absolutely huge one, and just everybody went quiet. and then the producer just sort of worked up the courage, because obviously this is Andre the Giant. He's not called Giant for no reason. And he just went, "Are you okay, Andre?" And Andre just went, "I am boss now."
Love it. Love it. That guy was huge, though. Did you ever see pictures where he's holding beer cans and he's literally holding, like, if this is his hand, like the beer can is like, and they're full size beer cans. They're like that big. He holds them like that. You know what I mean?
There is a picture of him carrying Arnold Schwarzenegger, with Arnold Schwarzenegger having a huge smile on his face.
Oh.
I think there's also another picture of him like next to Andre the Giant and someone else, and just sort of reveling in the fact that they make him look like a dwarf, and he's loving it.
Yeah, cool. Definitely cool, man. I was watching a Joe Rogan podcast, and we had not Diamond Dallas Page. Who was it? Jake the Snake. He had Jake the Snake on. Now I'm not into wrestling, but I know some of them out there. I know Steve-O's probably got his piqued his interest now. It's like Jake the Snake used to drive for him. Used to drive for Andre the Giant, driving him around. And he used to go through, like, the stories he was telling about how he'd go through crates of beer like they were nothing, like. Go through crates of beer. Holy smokes.
It was humongous. I think it was like 6'7" or something.
I have no idea, but the chap was huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Steve was like, already know the story you're about to tell. It's like, yeah, it's good. Dave, what's the extended King Kong? They cut out a lot in the theatrical. Oh, alright. I thought that Peter Jackson King Kong could have been much better. I think so, Dave. I think, probably, yeah. I don't know. I was a teenager at the time.
Pete Jackson stuff. I think the only thing where Pete Jackson's done, like, I would say anything sort of close to a masterpiece is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Although that said, like, I'm really not as keen on the Hobbit films.
I'm not either. I don't know what it is about the Hobbit films.
If you step back from it, everything they've done, like, our mutual friend Ben was saying this to me. He's like, if you step back and look at it, like, all of it makes sense. Like, all of the changes that they did, it makes sense from a film perspective. Not necessarily from the is it right by the law perspective, but it's like, it does make sense, everything that they did, at least most of it. Although, if you find out that not only were they sort of pragmatic and managed to do certain things, and some characters got an awful lot of screen time because they worked out to be much better characters than people imagine, like the character who is like the mayor of Lake Town's little scrote counselor. His role in the films grew because they were like, this guy's amazing, we need to get more of him. But like the executive meddling like made that it had to be 3 films, and B, they had no time to do it. So like, it's considering like how long they had, the fact that it's as good as it is kind of amazing, really. Because it could have been a lot. It could have been a lot worse than it was.
Treadwell is saying that he was 7'4" through the joint.
Jesus.
Go on, you were saying it could have been a lot worse, but they managed to save it somewhat.
Yeah, they managed to save it, and I still I wasn't entirely keen on the second and third, although I've watched the extended ones once each, and they're definitely better than the main ones. But the riddles in the dark scene from the first one, where you've got Gollum, gave me goosebumps. It's because I remember reading that book as a kid, and I got absolute goosebumps because it was more or less exactly how I imagined it would be. And obviously, Andy Serkis just knocked it out of the park
Oh, well,
again.
yeah. And Andy Serkis. Yeah, man.
And he's freaking great in everything he's in.
That's true.
He even makes the Planet of the Apes stuff moderately worth watching, as daft as it is.
Oh, man, I remember the old Planet of the Apes stuff. Was it from, like, the 70s or something, was it?
Must be. It's definitely, well, yeah, and Charlton Heston.
70s, 60s, something? I don't know. I remember specifically sitting down and watching them and thinking they were mad. I think it's one of those things where, especially as a kid, it was like, oh, okay, well, the apes can talk and walk, and I think your brain sort of just assumes they're normal people. You know what I mean? Well, for me, anyway, I don't know. You kind of forget that they're apes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great actor, Andy Serkis. Who's dropping in Gaelic Guy? Drink a game for Joe Rogan. Whatever he says, that's crazy. You'll die after an hour. Yeah. Or what else is it? It's like what's his thing? I'm a huge fan. That's another one of his things. He'll talk about what else would he talk about? He'll talk about weed at some stage. He'll talk about isolation tanks. He'll talk about like putting turmeric in your coffee. Like Joe Rogan's hilarious, man. I love him. I love watching his podcasts.
Yeah, I like Joe Rogan. It's whoever you're getting detail, because like those
Yeah. At least he listens and he
shows are
talks.
long, and they're going to talk about a lot of stuff. It was kind of funny when they had like I'm not gonna say his name because I'm not going to dignify him with it, but one of the more controversial right wing YouTubers was on it.
Right.
And like he was like saying stuff like, "Oh yeah, like it's true," you know, like. No, Squig. Let's just say I'd like him
John
Sargon from YouTube, but
Oh, all right. Let's go down the politics lane. Am I going to have to slap Dim on the wrist and be like, remember it?
no. Just for clarity, if anything. But basically, like he was saying like a load of quite sweeping stuff, which probably wasn't true, and Joe was like kind of like, yeah, sure, and like I mean, like that's kind of a dangerous thing to do on Joe Rogan, because he's like if you're talking about stuff, he'll get it up. Like he's got like researcher next to him. He'll like get that information.
Young Jamie, yeah.
On the show.
On the show, that's true, yeah. That's the thing I like about it. Jedi Jamie showing up. What's the crack, Jedi? Late but wanted to stop by. Cheers for stopping by, Jedi. Dave was saying Planet of the Apes was end of the 60s and mid 70s. Yeah, I had a feeling alright. So it was long before my time. Green was saying 1968 Planet of the Apes.
Oh, as we're talking about Charlton Heston, Soylent Green is worth a watch.
I've never seen Soylent Green.
If you're an orc player, right, it's worth watching Soylent Green, because this really crazy thing, like it's overpopulation, right? And they've got these sort of like you often see it on the covers of like the DVDs or the VHSs, but like they've got these giant red sort of bulldozer trucks that sort of like deal with people. Anybody who's watched it will know like these crazy bulldozer trucks, and they are quite orky. So they could be good. They could be good inspiration for like battle wagons and stuff, because it is supposed to be somewhat futuristic. But yeah, like Soylent Green's one of those films that's famous for like a big twist.
Oh, all right. I get you. Yeah, I think I know the twist, but we won't say it in case some people haven't watched it.
Yeah.
Sean Hope was saying, my biggest problem with all of the Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings films is women wielding swords. It completely ruins the death of the Witch King for me. Everything else falls apart from there. I don't know. I thought it made sense. It's like no man can kill me, so it's a chick with a sword.
Well, Boudica.
Oh yeah, there have been warrior women in the past.
Yeah.
I thought it was a pretty good sort of.
We've got
to it.
like archaeological evidence of like considering that like the people of Rohan are based on Saxons. There are Saxon women who are buried with weapons.
Did the Vikings not have like shield maidens or something? I'm not too sure. I don't know. I don't really look into the whole gender.
The Vikings isn't my period.
No. Apparently not. But I don't know, Sean Hope. I thought it was alright. But, each to their own. They were saying, I can't remember who killed the Witch King in the books. Oh, was it different to the...
Her. It is her.
Is it her in the books?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, alright.
It's her and Mary. It's her and Mary. She kills him. Because the whole point of it is...
You can't be killed by any man, is it? Or you can't be hurt by any man or something like that. I don't know. I tried.
In Lord of the Rings.
I will confess, I tried to read the books. I think I got most of the way through the first one, but I couldn't. I was like, sweet Jesus. It was like
Fellowship is an absolute slog until they get past it. If you start after the party,
because it was like we're talking about going to the forest. And we're planning about going to the forest or something. There was an awful long... It was like, oh, sweet Jesus. It just seemed very long-winded in parts. Do you know what I mean? It was like, all right, lads. I know you're talking about going on this quest. Just do it already. Like, I don't know. No, maybe I should go back. Maybe I have more patience now.
The Witch King got killed in two ways, right? One, the whole prophecy was like no man would kill him, right? And Eowyn, not a man. The second thing is that like Merry accidentally managed to have one of the few weapons in the world that can harm spirits.
Ah.
But you wouldn't know if you hadn't read the books because the Fog on the Barrow Downs chapter is not in the films.
Oh, that's yeah.
You don't do the whole Tom Bombadil stuff in the films, which I think is probably good, but basically, like, Aragorn gives them a bunch of daggers on Weathertop, and there's absolutely no reason why, like, a Dunedain Ranger King would, like, frickin' know that they were being chased by, like, wraiths, and might have something that might at least help them a little bit.
While we're on the topic, speaking of terrible films, have you ever seen the old Lord of the Rings animated film?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Oh, my days.
Iron Man.
Oh, my God. It's not just that. Is that not the one where, like, the orcs aren't... It's like...
They're sort of silhouettes.
They're really silhouettes, yeah. They're like blacked out silhouettes of people that they must have shot live and then just put it into the car. Oh my God. It's, yeah, I think it's one of those amazingly bad films. But yeah, like you were saying, the whole Tom Bombadil thing. See, I didn't finish reading the book. So the first time I actually heard of Tom Bombadil and the Barrow Downs was when Games Workshop were initially doing the Lord of the Rings scenarios. And I think it was in a White Dwarf. And I'm like, who the hell is this Tom Bombadil chip? You know what I mean? So because there was a scenario for, I think they did like Barrows and the Barrow Weights or whatever it was or something like that.
Tom Bombadil is quite a crazy non sequitur. I mean, the thing is like he's implied to be quite a powerful, important character, and considering like Tolkien basically describes in detail almost everything about Lord of the Rings and Middle Earth in general. Not frickin' Tom Bombadil, never explained. Ever explained. Nobody frickin' knows what he is. But we do know he picks up the ring and then manages to frickin' lose it because he doesn't care about it.
Oh,
Like,
so that's like uber powerful and doesn't care about it type deal?
yeah, so he's probably a lost god, probably. And maybe he's got something to do with the hobbits existing, but who knows? Like, it's weird. It's never really explained. And Tolkien goes into it. Well, as we're talking about Lord of the Rings, anybody want a trivia question? Let's see if anybody in the chat can get it. Right, so who is the last ring bearer to go to the Undying Lands?
Sam?
Yes.
Oh, I was right. Oh!
Yeah, it's Samwise Gamgee. He waits until basically his wife dies, and he gives Frodo's red book to his daughter, I think, or one of his children anyway, and he rows off on a boat to try and find Frodo.
Crazy, man. He was saying what in the comment section? Let's see if All Out War has... Squig Boss is giving out. He's like, is this still an Orky live stream? I'm putting grots together, man. What more do you want from life? I was talking, I saw a good video today, made me chuckle. Anyway, it was called The Empire Was Right in Star Wars. I haven't seen that one. I'll put that on my to-watch list. Green Tide 40k is like the conversation needs more DACA. It's, what, Grot Blasters isn't enough DACA for you, is it not? Absolutely not enough DACA. Speaking of DACA and DACA jets, have you tried the Aeronautica Imperialis game? I haven't tried it myself.
Nope.
Like I said, I've been too busy blowing stuff up in Battletech with all the DACA. Sweet Jesus.
I'm starting to have an excuse for why I've not played anything to do with GW, and the excuse is the following: I'm waiting for it to come out in paperback. The sad thing is that's probably a paperback one.
Well, I don't know. From what I've seen of it so far, the miniatures are scaled up a lot more. Dreadwild did a video on it, but like if you look at the epic scale aircraft that they used to use, that's the size of them. So they've scaled things up a bit, and I think one of the guys was talking about wanting Battlefleet Gothic to come back. If they do a re-release of Battlefleet Gothic, try not to knock the mic too much. They do a re-release of Battlefleet Gothic. This was the size of the cruisers.
Well, they did say that the
I think they just scaled stuff up. They seem to be like, didn't they scale up the Titans? Aren't the Titans like the Warlord Titans are pretty big now? I have an old epic Warlord Titan somewhere, and it's tiny compared to it.
I mean, I think that Titan game's a rip-off, and more crucially, a more pressing observation would be,
I've forgotten the bleeding name.
Gargants. I mean, we're more likely to get a Gargant in that game than we are from Forge World, so...
Oh, I don't think we'll ever get a Gargant from Forge World. They're phasing out the Orc stuff, and they're phasing out what we have in the 40k line for Orcs. There's no way they do a bleeding Gargant. No way.
Oh, I don't think they're going to... I think they've decided that they're more or less done with 40k, to be honest. It looks like they're...
Who, Forge World?
Yeah.
I thought the whole shtick now is that they're pretty much doing the specialist game support, pretty much.
Exactly. That seems to be where they're sending their attention. But I'm just still trying to get over the fact that, like, I bought the Gargantuan Squig off, right, and I'm willing to bet money that you don't get the... I mean, I haven't checked, so I'm not sure, but has anybody looked at the Forge World Gargant recently and seen if it's got... if you still get like 20 boys with it or not?
I don't know. To be honest with you. But I know that they don't make that sprue anymore, that snakepike sprues. Dreadwaz asking, okay guys, what are we predicting for October?
Nothing. Fucking nothing.
Green Tide 40k is like disappointment. I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Green Tide 40k, disappointment. Dave is saying, I'm predicting Imperial Fists and Salamanders for October. It's either Cromlech or the High Road for Orcs in 2019. Yeah, fair play to Cromlech. They have they've put the effort in. You know what I mean?
Also, anybody in the chat who is fancying buying grot tanks from Forge World, don't bother. Get the Cromlech ones.
Oh yeah, because you own the Cromlech ones as well as the Forge World ones.
I've got some Cromlech ones. I've also got a lot of the Forge World ones. I do have a lot of the Forge World ones, but the Cromlech ones they're just better in every way. They're just better in every way. They're better value. There's more detail on the sculpts. They're very similar price range to the grot tanks. They might be slightly more, slightly less. I don't know. After the price hike, I think they're slightly less now. But they come with every single weapon option. If you buy the ones from Forge World, you get like just enough weapons of one type to equip them all with something.
That annoyed me about that kit. It's like, oh, I want to give them all big shooters or whatever. I think it's almost like they had the expectation that orc players would just do their own thing, which, you know, most of us would, but it would be nice that if we got all the options, then you could use the weapons in other kits and conversions and stuff like that, you know what I mean?
Well, even GW doesn't want you to have bits at this point, so...
No, they don't. They just... It's like the single sprues for the buggies. It's all gone that way. The green one was saying, I'd want to use Battlestar Galactica Vipers orked up. That's not a bad idea, actually. Pimp My Toy saying, expect a token 2 pages of orcs in Orktober's White Dwarf and sod all else. I think we'd be lucky if we get that, to be honest with you. Dread was saying, but what are we expecting from GW in October, and what would we like if we had a wish list? Oh, Jesus. What would we like?
A codex that isn't a pile of crap?
Yeah, a codex that actually has, like, core HQ units in it.
Fluff, where the people responsible for writing the fluff have researched orcs. That's a good one.
That would help. I think so. I think that definitely would help. Have we made all 90 of these grots? I think there's more than 90.
I forgot. Yeah, I'd Pimp My Toy. I'd go with that. Plastic grot tanks.
Plastic grot tanks, yeah.
Then they might make the grot tanks decent.
That would be good, actually. Plastic grot tanks. Right now, how do we have more
rumbling scrap so that grotzukas are worth a shit?
Something a bit fun. What are we missing from the codex that we could do with? Apart, multi-part plastic warboss kit would be sweet. Where you could make them with or without the mega armor. You know what I mean? Just sort of like mega armor you could clad on. Like, they're good enough with their plastic kits at this stage that they could feasibly pull that type of shit off, no bother, if they put the effort in.
I suppose the big question is, do they want to?
I don't know. It's one of the things that annoys me about 40Ks. It's pretty much just like Space Marine, the tabletop wargame, which was another reason why I started to invest elsewhere.
Not only do we have this problem, right? They've got the Primaris, and they've started to cause the same problem. I mean, last week, yet another Primaris Lieutenant on pre-order. Yet another one. I mean, granted, it's in the stupid scout armor. Now, GW did care about orcs in First Ed, Second Ed, and Third Ed.
I think maybe Fort was the last hurrah, to be honest with you.
Corporate GW was never cared about orcs.
No, I think it was a case of it depended on who worked in Games Workshop at the time, whether
when GW acquired the Lord of the Rings license and their stocks went up and all of the founders sold their stocks, that was the day that the vast majority of the hobby died.
And I don't think all the founders sold their stocks, did
they? Ansel did, and Stillman, a few others. I think Priestley was still around for quite a while after that, but he left eventually because he was just sick of it.
But yeah, I think how orcs are being treated over the years depended on who was working in Games Workshop HQ at the time.
And
I don't think there's any of the... Could be wrong in this statement, but I don't think there's really any of the old guard who had a soft spot for orcs left, really, is there?
Well, you had Phil Kelly, but Phil Kelly, like, he managed to do one thing that I think no one else particularly managed to do post Andy Chambers, and I mean Andy Chambers didn't exactly get this right either, but he managed to meld the old and new a lot better. So he managed to make orcs kind of more authentic by tapping some of the old stuff back, but keeping the beast that Andy Chambers had done. That's the one bit that I think Kelly got right. But since then, like the rest of the writers are just like, well, orcs are a meme, let's run with it. It seems to be the thing.
Yeah, definitely. It seems to be that like orcs are the dumb as thick as shit with axes in their hand. Will just run at you meme. That really sort of annoys me, but I think most of the factions are getting like that, but orcs suffer from it greatly. But I think a lot of the Xenos factions do as well. Like if you look at the Nids, I think that I've always been interested in the Tyranids as well. I think they look like a cool army. They appeal to me. I like horde armies because they're more realistic in that it's a lot of bodies on the ground. I don't really like elite armies.
Mm-hmm.
And Nids have always appealed to me, but I am a me Swiss starting a Tyranid army. It would cost an absolute bleeding fortune. And then I'd just be stuck in the same boat with two armies instead of just one, where it's like, oh, well, it's bad enough I was being neglected with the orcs, and then you'd be neglected with the Nids, because the Nids, I think, I've needed some love for quite some time. I think the problem is that Games Workshop expect everyone who plays the game to have one Space Marine army, and I think they expect people to play Xenos as like a secondary faction and not your primary faction. You get me?
Yeah.
Green was saying orcs are not a huge sales incentive, though. That's true. They don't make as much sales.
No, I'm not gonna go with this, right? I'm gonna say this, and I say it almost every time, right? The reason why Space Marines sell is because Space Marines sell. Because basically, GW has created the situation where they over-support something. So because they over-support it, everybody's like, oh, wow, Space Marines get love, I'll collect those. Like, if GW spreaded that around, every single faction they would have would sell well. The reason that certain factions don't sell well is because they don't bother with them. And then because they don't bother with them, people don't buy them. And because people don't buy them, they go, oh, we won't bother with them. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy both ways.
There's a bit of that.
Effort. The stuff that doesn't get effort doesn't sell. If they bothered effort with it, it would sell better. And I still do not understand just the thing that Hans is saying, right? I do not understand why they took AOS and decided to create Stormcast to cause the same problem
in Age of Sigmar. I don't get that. Yeah,
40K, where they'd have one oversaturated, boring ass, power armored, bloody faction. I just don't get it.
And they intentionally did that with Age of Sigmar as well. It's like, let's put Space Marines into Age of Sigmar. They sell so well in 40K. I don't like. Why would you intentionally hamstring? Do you know what I mean? Talk about putting all your eggs in one basket. But I suppose it works well for sales. It's like, oh, we've invested so much in this one specific faction, so they sell well, so we'll just focus on promoting that one specific faction. But I think, on a greater whole, that it'll just make the hobby sort of monotonous. It's like, well, everyone collects this faction predominantly. Everyone kind of collects the Space Marines or Stormcast Eternals or whatever, because you want to play a game with it at the end of the day. So,
but they've created that problem themselves. They
intentionally engineered it with Age of Sigmar. So I think that is a fair point that you've made there. That Space Marines are so predominant because they've invested so much in Space Marines, intentionally. So they've hamstrung themselves, which is a bit annoying.
I just don't get it. I don't see why they've done it that way. I don't see why they've.
I think it was a case of that probably Space Marines sold really well at the start compared to other factions, and what they've done is they've made it worse. Do you know what I mean? They've chased after easy sales with it, and they've created it into the monster it is now. I think Space Marines would have been more popular than other factions because it's superhumans. It's knights in space, basically. So young teenagers could probably relate to them more. You know what I mean? It's the sort of stereotypical heroes. So I can understand that Space Marine sales would be better than orcs if we were just doing a demographic against players coming into it. I can understand that. But I think the problem is that Games Workshop accelerated that problem exponentially by solely investing into them to the point where it is now, where it's like they got everyone to buy Space Marines, and now they're getting people who were really into Space Marines, and they're phasing them out with Primaris. So it's just, you know what I mean? They're churning through your collection. It's madness, is what it is. It's madness. Who's saying what in the set? Oh, I'm sure the sections are. Oh, the comment section's awesome. Yeah, you said how you were talking about hands. If you look at what they stock in store, it's pretty much nothing except Space Marines and Stormcast. How do you expect people to go into store for a first time and not start with Space Marines? Pretty much you're set up. Oh, Cactus, maybe if they made good rules for models like the Stomper, we would buy it. Look at Knights, they cost a ton and are good, and everyone buys them. I think that's also a fair evaluation there, Poke Cactus. They use the rules as a catalyst for sales, so if they want to sell something, they'll give it good rules. Squig Boss Mad Knobs is like, but Space Marines look cool. Like,
no, they don't.
Yeah, well, it depends on the. They don't do anything for me, but I can understand.
I got burnt out of it. I got burnt out about Space Marines in 6th edition, 5th edition actually. I'm sick of Space Marines. I'm like the one good thing that Space Marines do for me is when there's a major Space Marine release, I can just, like, when I still bother with GW, I would just switch off because it's like, oh, good. There's a load of models I'm not interested in.
I'm not interested in, yeah. That's funny. I used to. There was a point in time when I used to collect Warhammer Fantasy and 40k. And I used to do that with the White Dwarf when the Lord of the Rings stuff came out. Because I wasn't interested in the Lord of the Rings stuff, I used to just literally flick through. I used to ignore that part of White Dwarf because I used to be like, I'm interested in 40k and fantasy. I've no real interest in Lord of the Rings. So I used to skim over it. And then what happened was 8th edition. I used to play, I think the last edition of fantasy I played was 7th edition.
Mm-hmm.
And then 8th edition fantasy came out. And then I was heading towards, I think I'd already started my 40k orcs at that stage. So my focus was mostly going on 40k. And I think the group of friends I had at the time mostly just played 40k. So I dropped out of playing Warhammer Fantasy. I still have a shed load of fantasy dwarfs I need to sell and get rid of. But yeah, it depended on, I think it depended on the edition of the rules, and I just didn't like the direction the game was going in, and then they eventually killed it off. So it's like, I have no interest in playing any Games Workshop's fantasy games at all. I'm just like, there's no allure for me. You know what I mean? And that's starting to happen with 40k for me as well. It's just looking at the ridiculousness of some of the rules, some of the blatant discrepancies between units. Like, you're looking at some of the new Space Marine stuff coming out, and it's like super uber rules, and you're like, holy shit. You look at it and you're like, how are you, from an orc perspective anyway, how are you supposed to stand up against some of this stuff? I'm like, I'm not saying that it can't be done. You know what I mean? Get a player who's playing Space Marines and doesn't know what he's doing. And
the approach that GW is going is they've got this whole idea of if everybody can make one nasty list, then they can cope with the Space Marine players who can do more than one nasty list.
I don't know, but that's not what I want out of the hobby anymore. You know what I mean? It's not.
No, I agree. But that's the thing. I would say, like, if you are looking for that from Games Workshop, you're mad.
I think that's part of the problem that I had. It took me. Do you know when it happened? It happened when the Apocalypse release came out. I twigged it. I was like, I think I'd played one game of Battletech or something like that, and I really enjoyed it. And then the Apocalypse rule set came out, and I was like, with my hobby, I've been chasing after the nostalgia and the enjoyment I had with 5th edition. Since then, I think I've been sort of buying into it and holding out, hoping that things would sort of pan out eventually. And
Same.
I just haven't liked the rules. Now, I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with people liking the rules. I think this ties into the whole. The part of the problem is when you criticize Games Workshop, some people will take that on as personal criticism, because what happens is you'll get to the stage where I used to be, where you're so invested in something, it kind of becomes part of your identity. So if somebody,
and some of them are sort of cultists.
So some of them are sort of cultists. They're the extreme ones, but I can understand any sort of criticism can be taken personally. I can understand that point. I can understand where people come from. I can understand why some people get so defensive when you criticize Games Workshop to a certain degree. It's like, if it's a hobby you really love and somebody's shit talking about it, you're like, well, what's, why are you in the hobby? Go away then. You know what I mean? I can understand where people are coming from when they have that point of view, but I think people need to sort of empathize as well. It's like some people love the hobby and they want to see it improve. And I can understand there are people out there who just shitpost and they've given up. And once you've given up on the hobby, you just turn around, you're like, screw Games Workshop, screw 40k. All you guys who play 40k are idiots. It's like, I don't think I'd ever get to that stage, but I'm not as in love with 40k as I used to be, because I realised the game isn't what it used to be for me personally. That's not to say that people can't enjoy the game. If you love the current edition of 40k, if you think it's the best edition so far, if you think the Orc Codex is the best Orc Codex that's been out so far, then fair play to you. I'm genuinely happy.
Is like there's a few people going around saying that sort of this edition is the best edition ever.
And for them, maybe it is.
A lot of the pretty much everyone I've encountered who says that. But a lot of the people who are saying that, they have not played every edition.
I can understand that. There has to be context, but then you're getting some older players coming back and saying it as well, so it just depends on the person.
If the first edition you played was 5th, as far as I'm concerned, personally, you've not played a good edition of 40k.
Yeah, but that's your personal take on it, though. You know what I mean? I can understand people having different opinions about it.
I can't say why I don't like 5th edition and onwards. You know why I don't like it.
Oh yeah. He's banned from mentioning he who shall not be named. I'm like I said, I've said it before. 5th edition wasn't perfect, but I think it sort of played. I liked how it played a lot better. I think the scale of the game was a lot smaller.
It wasn't wound allocation and Jervis being a liability, but
Yeah, no, there was some problems with it.
I don't think there's ever been a really good edition of 40k. I think I kind of sort of regard 40k as I regard Star Wars. Very, very overrated by a lot of people.
It all depends, really. It all depends. Right, folks.
I like those two things, but
I like Star Wars and I like 40k, but there are some definite hit and misses. There is the link for the Discord. We are going to go.
At that convenient moment, I'm going to have to dash.
You're going to have to bounce.
Shoot to work. I would have got the night off, but I'm fill-in guest, aren't I? I'm emergency fill-in guest.
Right. That's understandable.
It's been nice talking to everyone. I'll dash off. I'm not entirely sure how do I just hang up the call?
Yeah, you hang up the call. I'm gonna go look at people's work in progress for the.
Cool. I'll watch it back when I get to work. I'll have a little bit of time to watch the video while I'm at work, so being able to see people's stuff.
Grand.
Talk to you later, Scar.
Take it easy. Right, so.
God.
Go on here. I'll hang it up. If anyone has any work in progress that they want to show into the Discord, we're gonna go look at it now. After we've been talking about the codex and the state of the hobby. I know it's madness, it's absolute madness, but sure, we'll get along. Right, so I'm gonna have a look. As you can tell by my desk, I've managed to put a fair few bleeding grots together, lads. There's a lot of the bastards. Like what's it, 2, 4? That's 10 there. So it's between the Two Bald Knobs podcast yesterday and the live stream today, I think I've put more than 120 of the buggers together. So we're going to have a look at the Discord work in progress. Let's see what people have been up to and building. So Dim put up some images of his ogres before he headed off there, or at the start of the stream, sort of. This is his Blood Bowl team. You can see the skin tones he was talking about when he was trying to do a darker sort of skin tone, using Rhinox hide and then working up with the various browns. I actually think that looks pretty good, man. Yeah, nice skin tones. This one's a bit, I think he's going for a more oriental sort of tone with this guy. Looks pretty sweet. I like that he's doing variations in skin tones. He hasn't just done them all sort of Caucasian sort of style. He's done a bit of a mixed bag. That one's a bit of a blurry one. But yeah, they're coming along nicely. Jesse's been working on. So far my big mech and mega armor with custom force fields. Still need to add the claw and custom mega blaster. Alright. Lots of little gubbensy worky bits. Oh, what's that? Ambots. There you go. So Jesse has been building his big mech and mega armor from an ambot conversion. So it's a nice solid conversion he's got going on there. Lots of spikes and bits. Head swap. Nice shoulder pads. Like you said, he's still working away in it, but he's got a good few gubbins there. I can see parts from the Mega Nubs set. Runt herder stick. And that back piece there. I don't know where the candelabra sort of part comes from, but I do know that this bit here behind there is off of the big mech guns. It's like is it the Shunta, I think it is? Or tractor beam, one of them. Pimp my toy. I'm making myself little plastic heart cylinders for my grot tank turrets. Ooh, very nice. Very nice indeed. Yeah, nice bases you got started there. So good thing you have a point of reference there, that you have an actual mega grot tank, so you can see sort of aircraft carrier style. This will be interesting to see how it progresses along. But yeah, wheels. Have fun with the wheels, mate. Well, when it came to me and my grot tank, that's where I fell down. Oh, crafty! Look. Using Lego bits, yeah, smart, very smart. I like it. But nice bit of building going on there. Pretty tidy work desk, I have to say, compared to mine. Mine's an absolute pit. Pelgrim Git, he's working on his Zaga bot, a shock attack gun. I looked at this idea from workshop on Instagram. It still needs more details. Oh. Nice. See, when I see conversions like this, I like to have a gander and see what bits people use. So I think we have Sentinel legs. So these bits here. So these are Sentinel legs going into some gubbensy bits here. I'm not too familiar with this part here. Maybe it's off of a Baneblade or something. I'm not too sure. Or maybe it's a small base with something on the inside of it. I know this is a bigger base. It's like a 40mm base, and then he's gotten some scratch buildy parts, so it might be straw bits or tubing or something like that. Good wiring. Nice. This bit I think is off of the Killer Cans. I like what you've done here. Normally these are horizontal, but you've put this bit vertical to give it sort of a single eye. I really like that. That's a nice touch, man. The whole cylindrical body. That might be a bit daunting for some people to try and take on a cylindrical body conversion, but I think you're doing an absolute cracking job. It's looking nice, dude. It's looking nice. I like your shock attack on bits and the Hoover underneath. Yeah, sweet, absolutely sweet. This is looking cracking. Oh, and we get a rear view as well. Ooh, I see a looted Chimera off to the left. Yeah, this looks sweet, man. And you've actually done up the connections in the back. Nice. I'm not too sure if that's supposed to be a battery box, but I like the clip holder for it. That looks sweet. Very nice. And I think this comes off of one of the Imperial tanks. It's off of the Flamers or something like that. Or it might be the Sentinel. Could be wrong. Marcos is working on Gruts. So I'm not the only one who's taken on the Grot Horde. And the vehicle progress. Looks like he's building himself Chinook Warcopter. You can tell by the rotary here and just the general shape. I see some commando sneaking around in the background. I approve. Nice bit of blood access going on. Are you painting with contrast paints? Looks like you're using contrast paints. They look sweet, dude. They look sweet. I do have a baggie full of these guys. I just haven't dug out yet. But I think if I'm going to make the Grot Horde army eventually a thing, which for the laughs would be hilarious, I think I'll have to dig out my 2nd edition dudes. But I like them. They're really nicely well painted, and the basing on this guy on the bottom here is looking pretty sweet. I reckon when the rest of them are done up, it'll look class, man. So yeah, good progress there. And I think Gorka Marcos has shown off some. Oh, these are from the Labyrinth, the board game. Yeah. Some of the playing pieces. Nice. Paint them up and they look sweet. What else was he shown us? Oh yeah, so Conan the Barbarian, aka Arnold Schwarzenegger, and We have Andre the Giant. And I've forgotten this guy's name. My brain is not working at the moment. But there you go. Nice size comparison. All 7'4" of them. Hans Gruber, not much, having a go at painting some Skaven. So there we go. He's getting his Skaven up and running. Nice, nice skin tones you've got going on before. Sweet. I'm interested and intrigued what's going on here in the background. I see a tank track. Very nice. Squig Boss. Been getting some painting done. Painting up some of the boys. Big shooters. They're over there, you get. Is this a mech? In his mech as well. Yeah, nice. Nice Squig Boss. I like it. What basing are you going to do for the dudes? Have you thought about that yet? I like your use of different colours though. You're going for reds and blues. They don't look to be affiliated to any one clan. Which I suppose is a sneaky way to go about it. I could be wrong here. I suppose if you wanted to use whatever clan rules, if you painted your orcs in non-distinct clan colours, you could use whatever sort of rules suit you at that point in time. But yeah, nice progress. Oh, he's working on his build. And we have orc stuff. He's working away on his build. Skarnir big vehicle build. Just for the hangout progress. Nice pistons done. Nice bit of green stuff work there. Orc stuff in his madness as always. Massive piston engine for as I thought I bought enough washers for 12 cylinders. Only after. Oh, you're making it out of washers as well? I'm not surprised, man. Stack them up. Yeah, nice engines. I even like the little exhaust you've got coming out the sides of them. And you've sculpted these parts individually. You're a mad scown, yeah. Fair play to you. Fair play. More patience than I. So there we go. They were the pictures that we had shown up for a work in progress. I think we've pretty much hit the 2 hour mark at this stage, and Dim has had to leave us. He's heading off to work, sadly. But it's been good crack. We've had some interesting conversations. Yeah, the shock attack one is awesome. You're right, Sean. I do apologise if I've managed to miss some of your comments in the comments section while we've been going through the stream while talking to Dim. There's been an awful lot of chatter tonight. But it's been very civil for orcs. I like it. So thanks for sticking around for the hangout. The next thing I'm gonna be doing is probably putting some sand on the base of these guys, and then I'm actually gonna start on my vehicle for the build off. I've got an old eBay salvage Land Raider. I stashed away for an occasion like this, and I was gonna 3D print tank tracks for it until my 3D printer gone and shart itself. I think the motherboard's fried. But yeah, we'll be posting up oh, the voice chat's dead, is it? Hold on. Mic audio? No, mic audio's still there. I'll be posting up videos when I do actually make some progress on my vehicle for the build. I would suggest that if you have not joined in the build off, you've still got plenty of time. Remember, the competition runs until the 31st. Just post your images in the Discord in the specific build off work in progress. That way I can keep track of things. And there's also the rules video. I did a video for the rules of the build off. I'll throw the link in the description of this video at the very end. So yeah. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Take it easy. Cheers. End stream. Yes!